What's going on all you gamers, here we are back with some more Hades, and today I'm going to be going over the full guide for this just over here, the Mirror of Night. So if you want to know what I think are the best options for it, what you should choose, and what's going to help you get further in the game, then stay tuned, that's coming up next. Welcome back all you guys and girls, as always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox. All the latest and greatest content, hints, tips, guides and builds, and just some fun gameplay of the latest games, then why not hit that subscribe bell icon. But for today, like I said in my previous video, I had brought out the beginner one on what you should chuck all of your darkness into from the start, and now I've played a little bit longer, and I'm going to be giving you my guide on what you should chuck in for intermediate to later game. So if we head over to the mirror, now just in case you're coming to this video a little bit early and you haven't unlocked this many, you'll just need to know that to unlock more of these attributes, all you're going to need is, just down the bottom here, all of these keys. When you get the keys from the dungeon, you're going to come to here, just in the middle down the bottom, there'll be a key selection bit, you go down, you invest it, you're going to unlock a lot more perks for the mirror. That will get you a lot stronger and make life a little bit easier as you progress through the dungeons. Also, once you progress a little bit further, and once you've unlocked it, I believe from the house contractor, just over here you can swap the talents. So obviously you'll be able to do that and pick the one that you like most. Now these right here are pretty much my go-to. Some of them might swap every once in a while, but to be perfectly honest, this is pretty much the build 99% of the time. So for the first one, we've got Shadow Presence. And the reason you've got this on is because you'll hit a lot of enemies just before they've seen you, and you're going to hit them in the back, dealing bonus attack and special damage at 50%. Absolutely amazing, and you could always rush straight through them, hit them again. There's just such a big chunk of damage coming off them, an absolute abundance of the time. This is very versatile and it's always constant. If however we swap it over, we've got Fiery Presence. The only time I would recommend this is if you're going for a really big one-shot build. So if you feel like you'll be doing an amazing amount of crit damage, or you're just spamming one single move and that's managing to pretty much take everything out, this is the go-to for that. However, if it's taking you a few more hits, or you feel like the backstab's going to work in your favour, which most times it pretty much does, then you're going to stick to this. Shadow Presence is my go-to most times. And next up, and we've got Dark Regeneration. This one right here is pretty much amazing. Early game, mid game, late game, it's just really good. Restore some of your health whenever you collect darkness, 30% of the collected amount per rank. Obviously there's certain things that go towards that, meaning that you can actually up that in the game when you're going through, so certain boons drop it or up it, and it's just a nice way of chunking back your health. The other option is the Chthonic Vitality, which I'll probably butchered again like in the first place, but this one right here can be good. I honestly didn't like this because I found myself being pretty good at getting to near enough the last stages without getting hurt too much most times. This is quite good for Elysium, better for sticks. I would probably say if you're struggling with sticks, this might be okay, but I tend to choose this one pretty much most times overall. Next up, and just straight up amazing, a Death Defiance. This one right here is basically like an extra life where you're going to get 50% of your health back. Chuck on 3 of these, you're going to make your way through, you're going to have a lot greater chance of getting to the end boss, and it's just a lot more stable for all runs. I must admit I haven't invested anything in this one because I just don't like the sounds of it. To me, I need that at all times. There's always a chance of getting hit, there's always a chance of dying, especially if you're putting the heat levels up. So I would say probably this will be your go-to 99% of the time, unless there's some kind of a pact or something that makes it so that you're going to need this one. In general, stick to this, you'll get further, you'll have much better time, and you will die from time to time anyway, probably like myself, so these will definitely help you to clear the runs. Next up, and just a go-to staple I've never changed off of this, and that's Greater Reflex. Perform +1 additional dash in quick succession. Basically it gives you 2 dashes rather than just 1, and if you had the one at the start you'll know how tough it was on those boss battles. Any area effect is going to be tricky to get out of with just 1. That's why I feel if you go for this one just here, Ruthless Reflex, you're pretty much nerfing your character. The only time I think you might be able to get away with this is if maybe you picked up the boon from Hermes where you get a couple of dashes, or at least one singular dash, just so that you've still got 2 in your build. And again, this is still quite tricky to pull off. Gain 50% damage and dodge chance for 2 seconds when you dash just before getting hit. I think if this was just when you dash, it would be a lot better, and I may even try it in quite a few builds. But waiting around to be getting hit, or just before you're getting hit and dodging out of it for the extra, it's a little bit too temperamental for me. That is the one that I go for every single time, Greater Reflex. Next up, and Boiling Blood, Boiling Blood, Boiling Blood, just so good. Deal bonus attack and special damage to foes with casting them, 10% per rank. As you see, its maxed out is 50%. The other option is Abyssal Blood. I have chucked nothing in it whatsoever. I don't think I ever will. Reduce movement speed and damage of foes with cast in them, 6% per rank. So a little bit of a tankier option kind of thing, a little bit more of a utility type of option, but I can't really see yourself using that much. I think this is pretty much the way forward. Boiling Blood, chuck it on and you're chunking the damage, and you'll have a lot more fun as you clear the content. Next up, and I've been trying this one, but in all honesty I've got it on the wrong one. This one right here, Infernal Soul, I believe is pretty much best in slot. Raise your supply of casts per 1, so you've got 2 there, plus your original, you get 3 casts. Really nice, really easy to use. Once they pop back out of them, you're going to go pick them up and do the same again. If you wanted to, you could switch it to this one where it regenerates your cast, so every 3 seconds you're going to be able to lay one. I found that pretty much whenever I was playing, this one right here was best. I really did. It's nice to be able to chuck them down in most cases. Obviously, if it's a big heated battle, this one might be best if you can't get around the map, because you just be able to bop them on the floor wherever you want. So very long distance or stay away from them could be really good in really tough fights. 9 out of 10 times though, I'm going to say this one's best. You do a lot of damage, you do it very fast, and then you go pick them back up. Great with pretty much all boons, really good with Demeter I found. I pretty much prefer this way. Next up, and we've got Golden Touch. Gain wealth whenever you clear an underworld region, plus 5% of your current wealth or obols. I think this one's the best because it gives you a lot of options. If you want to save it for the end and you want to buy some Titan Blood, or you want those really nice boons, this can really help you, especially if you're in a bit of a tricky situation, you need a better one for the boss. I found this was definitely the best. Gives you enough to make your way through, make sure you don't spend too much at the start, and this really helps you out. If however you wanted to do this one, I have no idea how much it goes up. I think it might go up to 100, I believe, give or take, if I can go back to it, and that's Deep Pockets, meaning you start off with a certain amount. But in all honesty, I found this one right here, just if my maths is correct anyway, just works out better overall. By the end you've got a lot more. Obviously it's kind of a personal choice, because the other way you would start off stronger, you'll be able to pick something up early. With this it works out better later on, so completely down to your choice. Next up, and just amazing in every situation, Thick Skin. This gives you an extra 50 health. It allows you to have a lot of versatility in your builds. You don't always have to pick up the health options. You can kind of go for the other ones, the POMs, the upgrades. It works out really well. I have pretty much picked this every single time. You can, however, switch over to this and go for a little bit more damage. However, I would probably only say this is if you can make sure you're good enough. If you're able to keep your health above 80%, this right here is absolutely amazing. I think I've got to chuck it up one more rank by the looks of it, so probably gets to 25%. This completely depends on how skillful you are, and probably how high the heat is. If you're getting knocked about, 100% this. So 80% of the game, you're probably going to pick this, in my opinion. This right here is if you're amazing, if you can dodge everything, if your health's always above 80%, or if you've gone that really high vitality route, you may be able to get away with this. You may be able to do a big chunk of damage. But for myself, this one right here, bit of a safety net, nice and easy, chuck that one on. And next up, and we've got this one here, Family Favourite. Deal bonus damage for each Olympian whose bonus you have, plus 2.5% per rank. So as you can see, I've got it to 5% per God boon. This works out if you're going for a kind of random build as such. So say for example, you know you're going to have a lot of boons from a lot of gods, this is definitely the way forward. If however you think you're going to stick with probably 2 and you're going down that curse route, Then you're going to switch straight over to privilege status, deal bonus damage versus foes afflicted by at least 2 status curse effect, 20% per rank. So basically you're going to have at least 2 on, and that means you're going to have 40%. So say for example if you're going Ares and Dionysus, that would be absolutely perfect, and you're going to make sure you put this on. However, if you want a nice easy time of it and you don't want to be thinking too much, this is definitely the way forward. It's going to be guaranteed, you're not going to have to worry about curses, you're not going to have to worry about a bit of luck or a bit of RNG. That's what you're probably going to put on for most of the game. Maybe when you get a little bit more late stage, you may want to chuck on this if you're thinking about putting on curses most of the time, which you may well do, to be perfectly honest, all down to your build selection. Now this one right here is really good for getting through the early to mid game content. Olympian favour. Raise your chance for a boon to be rare 1% per rank. This is why I'm using at the moment, because I'd say I'm probably like early to mid game. However, if I can, later on I will be chucking it straight over to this Dark Foresight. The reason for that is, although this is really good, the reason I'm using it is because I haven't got any invested in this one down the bottom here, so I'm not able to switch out the boons and such. As soon as I have, I'm going to switch this one over to this one right here, Dark Foresight. Being able to pick those up is going to work out definitely in my eyes in my favour. Being able to get through the content, having a higher chance of getting those poms and such, or the Daedalus hammers and the obols is going to work out amazing. It really is. But I'm going to need these down the bottom here to make sure that I can switch at those boons if I get an absolute awful one. So until then, I've pretty much stuck to that. So late game, stick with this. Early mid, very possibly this one. Next up, and 100% of the way, this right here is God's Legacy. Raise your chance for a boon to be legendary or duo, plus 1% per rank. Now the main reason for this is pretty much because they're just straight up stronger. Duo especially can be really powerful, so if you know what you're doing, if you're playing mid to late game, you're probably going to want this on. Early to mid, very possibly go for this, just so that you get a lot more epics and you'll make your way through. But this in general will definitely be the way forward, and it will get you some really strong boons to make your way and absolutely devastate your foes once your builds come together and you get those duos and such. Last but definitely not least, like I said, Fated Persuasion. Randomly alters boon and Well of Sharon choices. 1 chance per rank. Now obviously you're going to want this all the way ranked up, and it's just going to make things so much easier. Think of this as a reroll. Every time you get something that you don't want, you get those 3 boons on your screen, tap it, you're going to be able to re-roll them. It's going to give you a higher chance of something nice. Of course, then you've got God's Legacy as well. It's just going to work in your favour, and especially early game I would say, you're going to make sure you want to do this, because then you'll be able to pick up a build that will progress you all the way through and be something that you're aiming for. If you didn't want that, you'd be doing this one right here, randomly alter the reward for the next chamber. I honestly don't think this is anywhere near as good. Obviously, if you're very unlucky and the chambers you're going ahead with aren't going to be the best, then this can work in your favour. But for me, having that reroll function on the cards that you're dealt is definitely the best way. And of course you can do it at Well of Sharon, so again another chance to kind of flip all 3 of them, get something nice. In my opinion, as soon as I can chuck stuff into this, I'm going to, as it's just going to make things a lot easier, and I'm sure I will have a much stronger build once these last ones tend to come together and I'm chucking on more duos and I'm being able to re-roll for that. Right, all you gamers, I hope that's helped a few of you guys and girls out. Obviously, like I said, I've still got a little bit of work to chuck into it, but that is definitely the ones that I'll be aiming towards, and for the moment it's helping me clear content no end. So, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care, I'll see you on the next day.